Several weeks ago I became aware of what seemed to be an ancient carved stone font that had once been used as a planter in the garden of an old mansion in Gloucester, before sadly ending up in an old orchard on a pallet being battered by the wind and rain. The owner of the font decided to get rid of it and place it up for sale to the highest bidder. Unfortunately, he had no luck and the font remained unsold, deteriorating in the orchard. Having recognised the font from some photographs, I realised just how important this ancient carving was and that it desperately needed rescuing before it was deteriorated even further. I decided to self-fund the purchase of the font and duly travelled down to Gloucester to pick up the font and rescue it from that orchard. Upon arrival, it quickly became clear that this font was far more important than I had first thought. But it was in a poor state of preservation indeed, and my mission was to load this huge and very heavy font onto the van. Measuring over 32 inches in diameter and 14 inches deep, the weight of the font was colossal. On arrival back home with the font, the task began to unload it safely and to make it possible to get the font onto a special trolley that I had built several days earlier in anticipation of actually rescuing this ancient carving in solid stone. Having finally managed to achieve getting the font onto the trolley, it was then possible to move the font to an area where I could clean it gently and begin to preserve it. Well, as you can see, the work of conserving the font has been a great success, and I'm pleased to be able to report that the stonework is now stable. So what next with the font? Well, there's two courses of action to take place. The first course of action is to build a dedicated outbuilding where the font can be housed in perfect conditions to keep it safe, dry and preserved. Now this will keep the font perfectly preserved and safe from the elements, whilst we're going to further study and research of this beautiful font, which I believe could possibly date back to as early as the 13th century AD. The second course of action will be to carry out more detailed research into the history of this stunning font. Carved from a single boulder, is this font a high status object?